Welcome boys. In this video we're going to be installing my new Iron Bull bumper on my 2003 Dodge Dakota. We have a couple things we need to do first. The first order of business is I need to measure exactly how far it is from the ground up to each wheel arch so I can determine how much sag, if any, we get once we add the heavier Iron Bull bumper, and if that is something I can live with or not, or if I have to crank on the torsion bars to raise it. That'll be its own video. But for now, what I plan on doing is once installing the bumper, I'm going to drive around with it in whichever position it is in, and then see if I can live with that or not. So we have between 13/16 and 7/8 of a tank of fuel. So that's close enough to a full tank. I don't think it'll affect that much on the rear end adding any weight. So that's the one I'm going to use to measure it. We have painter's tape, so I'm just going to put some across, and then once I see what the height is, I'll use my marker that I have over there to write it down, and then we'll see how much that changes once we add the Iron Bull bumper. So I've already done a video on how to remove the Dakota bumper. And if you've been following this truck on my channel, this is a Durango bumper. And so to remove the Dakota bumper, we had to pull out I don't have any light. Let's get some light. There we go. I had to pull out these four bumpers, or these four bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's some more down in there, which you can't see right here. But there's essentially another bracket that braced the bumper on over there. Now, because this is the Durango bumper, we don't have to do that. So that's all we have to do, and then unplug the fog lights. If you need to know how to remove your actual Dakota bumper, you can go see that video on my channel where I have another 4 bolts, 2 on each side for those other brackets that hold the bumper to the truck frame that way. And I'm coming straight over to Steve's after work, so I don't have a tripod to set you up on, so I can't show you everything. I'm just going to have to essentially jump cut between scenes here. But you're not going to be missing much. Okay, boys, and on the front, both sides, I measured where the 35-inch mark is from the 6 o'clock position up through the center cap, and then right there. So that's 35 inches there. That's where the 35-inch mark is here. Back here, I put where the 39-inch mark is, and then ditto for the other side in the rear, so we know exactly where that is. So that'll change once we put the heavier bumper on. 35 should be lower, and then 39 should be higher. And it should be noted, the day I did drive Iron Bull bumper over here, when I had it in the bed, a little bit of weight in the bed, which I don't know how heavy, well, like I said, that bumper is probably damn near 200 pounds. That really actually helps the ride. It rides like a Cadillac then. With no weight in the back with those Monroe load adjusting shocks. It doesn't ride so good, but if you got weight in there, it does. So I'm curious to see how the ride handling is if I add more weight to the front. Is it going to get better or worse? And then if I have to crank up the torsion bars, will it get better or worse still with no weight back there? Or if I should always keep some weight back there. I don't know, we'll burn that bridge when we get there. But next order of business is I'm going to unplug the fog lights and then remove 4 bolts here. And then I'll get this bumper off so I can work on getting the Iron Bull one on. And then I'll at least have something to gauge this with, because that bumper, I'm going to have to transport it back to my house into bed. So I'll kind of see how bad it rides with that compared to without. And then as I lose fuel, what happens as that gets lighter, that's going to raise up even more. And then with the weight on the front of the Iron Bull, it should go even lower then. But we got close enough to a full tank for now to kind of gauge that. Okay, boys, and while we're in the back, we can see that after removing the front bumper, the back is still pretty close to its 39-inch mark. If we go to the front, there you can see there is no more bumper because it's chilling right there. We have gone up, so the front of the truck is raised about 1/8 of an inch. So now we'll see what the difference is between 35, truck going up 1/8 of an inch, to putting the iron bull bumper on and seeing how much further down we go. Okay boys, and if you're seeing this, and this was the correct thing to do, I believe this bracket that held the original bumper on has to come off in order for the iron bull to fit. Because it's got this newfangled bracket, and it looks like it's only going to fit like here, and then through where this one was. So I think that's how this is going to go, but I'm not 100% sure. So I busted one of these off with the 18, which is the same one that holds these on. So let's take this off and see if this bracket fits. Okay boys, well the first issue we have is once you do back those nuts off, this beast hits this frame right here, and there's not really any way to get it out. And I tried, one, you can't fit this T50 in here, and if you can, but if you do, you can't fit a tool to work it. So I tried a wrench, a 5/16 to put on this and then try to turn it that way, but that thing ain't budging. So I don't know if it's welded in there or crimped in there or what the deal is, but that ain't coming out. So this is where we break out the Sawzall and cut through those two. And I do believe if we look at this here, you can get these bolts low, and then they kind of match up with the two over here. And if you look at my backwards 72 or 27 or whatever this thing is now, upside down / backwards, these two look like they would go here, and then the two that are on this side look like they would go here. And then at that point there would be 4 bolts, I guess, that hold on the iron bull bumper. So this is where we part ways, and at this point, now once you do this, you are never going to be able to put your factory bumper back on, because once this goes, I don't see any way you could ever get another one of those through there, unless you like cut this out and then just run a bolt and a nut through there. But we'll burn that bridge when we get there, because I do have plenty of spare bumper bolts and nuts. So I think if I just cut this here and then later cut through it with an acetylene torch or drill it out or something, then I can reuse it at a later date if I ever chose to. So just be prepared to have power tools nearby, because you're going to have to do that. Alright boys, well one power tool later with the grinder here. Ground those bolts down, and the bracket.
Yeah, that matches up right there.
Fits on there perfectly. So 72 needs to be upside down backwards, but it will fit. So we'll grind away on this one and then get that other bracket up there mounted, and then we can work on getting the bumper up. Okay boys, so and by the way, this bumper does not come with any spare hardware. So before you tackle this job, I would suggest you go to the junkyard like I did, and mostly just because I'm a thief, and I feel, well, you can never have too many bolts and nuts, you might need them one day. So I grabbed a shitload of spare bumper bolts when I took the bumper off of the replacement Dakota, and then I pilfered a bunch of other ones just when I was in there off the brackets and everything else, because you're going to need a bunch of them. You're going to need 2 that I have going through there, and those 2 are captured, so you don't need a nut. And then on this side we have the nut here that used to be here. So we're just repositioning these 2 nuts, and then the bolts, more bumper bolts go there since we hacked those huge T50 Torx ones off. So that's how you do that, and I have it torqued down pretty tight, and that's because I feel like I can just put the bumper here and then move it up and down, and then it shouldn't need any more adjusting, because you can't really adjust this anyway. But that's that for now, and then also you're going to have to loosen your plastic little splash guard thing to get access to do all this. But alright, so we'll be back in a second once we get the bumper kind of sort of mounted with a jack or something, and then we'll see where we can get it and then get a good look. Okay boys, and the bumper is on. So here's where we are. If you'll recall, that's the 35-inch mark. So it was here, but now it is up 5/16 of an inch. So the front has lowered 5/16 of an inch compared to when it was with the original bumper. And then on the back, we measured at the 39-inch mark. And this went up. Looks like about almost a quarter of an inch. So that's a quarter of an inch plus a quarter, so that's a half-inch difference now. Front went down half or quarter inch-ish. The back went up quarter inch-ish, so another half-inch of travel. I guess only time will tell if I drive around, and we'll see if it rides like shit or not without me cranking on the torsion bars, or if me just throwing some weight in the back would lower that and raise that scotch, and then maybe we'll even it out because we'll have weight on the load adjusting shocks along with all the weight on those normie shocks I have here. If we look at the normie shocks, we do still have some travel remaining. Maybe an inch and some change, hard to say exactly. But I can either leave this thing all funny looking, or what I had originally planned on doing, which is why in my backyard I have spare wheel wells. In case I decide to sell the truck, I can just cut that so it's more in line with that. And of course they don't give you a connector or anything with these new fog lights, so what I'm going to have to do is either chop the ones that are on there or go to a junkyard, because I'm pretty sure I threw away all my old fog lights for this thing, because I didn't think I needed them anymore. So I might have to go to a junkyard, cut another electrical connector, splice them in here, solder them on, that way I can connect it to that old one. And then there's the D-hook shackles on, so we have, I guess I had 2 remaining that I didn't use. So this is how we got it going. We got 4 more bolts each side on the front. So you're going to need all those bumper bolts. We have 4 there, and then the 4 we're using here on the other side. So that's 16 bolts you're going to need. But you're not going to need all those nuts because some of those are captured. And we reused those 2. So reuse those 2, those are captured. So we just needed 8 nuts and 16 bolts. So we'll get this thing out of the way so you can actually get a good look at it from a distance, so we're not squished up against it. Okay, boys, and now it's light next day, so you can kind of get a good look at it now that it's back in my driveway. So if we look at the sides, we got a bit of an angle there, which would give you more clearance. Probably not good for aerodynamics though, since now I got a bunch of air smoking my tire. But that's okay, it didn't really get that good a gas mileage anyway. What's a few more miles per gallon less, considering the bug deflectors, the increased rake, and every other thing I've put on it to decrease its overall fuel economy. That's what she looks like. So she looks pretty good. And now she should be able to take a hit. Well, we won't be letting my dad drive it anytime soon ever again anyway. So we really shouldn't have to worry about him smashing it up. It's just now when the fools pull out in front of me and then try to brake check me as if, how dare I continue my speed. Well, they pulled out at the last second. Joke's gonna be on them. This thing can take a hit. And as you saw, it just dropped a quarter inch and raised up in the back. I think also a quarter inch, so about a half inch of change in elevation either way, combined. But I drove home and it didn't ride like crap. So I don't think I'm going to crank on the torsion bars. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And if and when I do haul something in the back, that'll kind of drop the back scotch and maybe kind of sort of more level it out, and maybe it'll ride even cushier. But that's it, boys. The only thing I need to do now is I guess I had to do a junkyard and cut a connector off for the fog lights where it goes to the socket and clips into that spot so I can get my fog lights. So I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, boys. Peace.